Okay, now let's look at an example of Bayes' theorem. Okay, so here is an example problem. Suppose that visitors to the site are classified into 3 classes. In the previous example, we had only 2 classes, but here we are defining them into 3 classes. So make purchase of $500 or more, make a purchase of less than $500, or make no purchase at all. So we have 3 classes for the target variable. So the first one is make a purchase of $500 or more. Next is make a purchase of less than $500, right? And then B sub 3 is make no purchase. Okay. Now the predictor that we're going to use here, okay, so in general, probabilities for these 3 outcomes are 15%, 20%, and 65%. So these probabilities are given as 0.15, 0.2, and 0.65. And these are called prior probabilities. So these are the initial probabilities. Like if you look at the database, and in the database, how many purchased 500 and more, or how many purchased less than 500, how many did not make any purchase at all. So that would be the entire database without any slicing and dicing. So these are the prior probabilities. An examination of the record of customers' behavior revealed those who made a purchase of 500 or more, 70% spent at least 15 minutes browsing the website. So the predictor variable that we're using here is customer spent at least 15 minutes browsing the site. Right. So from the existing database, we have some probabilities, the conditional probabilities. So those who bought 500 or more, purchases of 500 or more, okay, 70%, so 0.7 is the probability of V having spent at least 15 minutes browsing. Okay. Now the probability for those made a purchase of less than 500 was 80%. So 80% for those and 50% for those who did not make any purchase at all. So our objective is to find posterior probability. Now with this data available, we want to be able to use the fact that a customer spends at least 15 minutes, okay, in predicting whether that customer will spend 500 or more, or spend less than 500 or spend nothing at all. Okay, we want to be able to predict that using this. So the prior probability of class coming from here. Okay. Now the conditional probabilities are here. Okay. Once you set this up, then the rest is extremely easy. All you have to do is to find the joint probability, which will be the conditional probability times the prior probability. Okay. And you copy that and you get the joint probabilities, and you sum the joint probabilities, and that sum is what? That sum will represent probability of the predictor. That is the probability of the predictor. So now if you take the probability of the predictor and divide it into the joint probabilities, now this must be absolute reference, then you get the reverse conditional probability or posterior probability. So now let me put the border back. Okay, so the posterior probabilities are these. Okay. So now from here we know that if a customer spends at least 15 minutes browsing the site, okay, the probability of, okay, the compared to the prior probability, the probability that the customer will spend some money increases a little bit, and the probability that they will not spend any money at all goes down a little bit. So you are able to better predict compared to the original, compared to the baseline, which was the prior probabilities. The posterior probabilities are a little more accurate here.